against that stupid king and his stupid wig and that godforsaken country. And if we lose, and if this judge says, look, despite the compelling arguments, despite what you presented in front of me today, I'm still going to rule against you, then we will go straight to President Trump's office.
So despite the protest and huge crowds showing up today to back Andrew Tate, things inside the courtroom still didn't swing his way. The hearing once again delivered a setback for Tate, and the tension spilled outside, where his lawyer appeared visibly furious and unleashed an intense reaction in front of the cameras.
But Andrew and Tristan Tate are built different. And on top of that, they have the spirit of innocence inside of them. Nelson Mandela famously did 27 years of incarceration in solitary confinement, never changed his tune, and never broke his spirit, and never gave up because he was innocent the entire time. Innocent men don't give in. Innocent men don't run from the law. They run to the law. They lean into the process. The idea that Andrew and Tristan Tate are somehow dangerous is ridiculous. Every charge that has been levied against them, the acts of these charges, the facts of these charges date back to 10 years ago. The idea that there is somehow a flight risk is insane.
Right now, this court battle isn't actually about extradition. It's about whether Andrew Tate should be granted bail while the extradition process plays out. UK prosecutors have argued that the Tate brothers could be a flight risk if they're released. But Tate's lawyer is pushing back hard in the legal filings, challenging that argument. His attorneys say Tate's massive public profile would make disappearing extremely difficult, especially since the brothers regularly share updates about their whereabouts on social media.
They have been on judicial release for several years in Romania, and no matter where they are in the world, they fly back to Romania to make their court appointments all the time. The government knows this. The United Kingdom know this. The enemies of freedom, the enemies of justice, the enemies of free speech, the enemies of Andrew and Tristan Tate know this. So they threw the kitchen sink at them, and they drummed up every lie that they could, every lie on earth and every lie in hell, in order to make these two guys look like the Osama bin Ladens of rape, when they are nothing like it. They are innocent. They are gentlemen. They are good men. They have a world of people who depend on them for all types of things. They are fathers, they are sons, they are uncles, they are brothers, and they are best friends. And goddammit, they are American citizens.
There have also been serious concerns raised about the prison conditions where they're being held. So you might ask, what are the UK's grounds for not giving them bail? One of the biggest points prosecutors are reportedly focusing on is the brothers' past online talk about having access to multiple passports, which authorities could argue makes the flight risk issue more serious.
If I fuck up big time and England wants me in jail, I can fly on a Nigerian passport.
Prosecutors are arguing that the brothers could potentially travel to a country without a proper extradition treaty, which could seriously slow the whole legal process down. And there's another major detail hanging over this case. Some of the allegations date back around 10 years, and the legal battle has already been dragging on for a long time. That's basically the core of the argument being made against granting bail.
Some really troubling details about potential new identities and hidden passports.
New court documents reveal prosecutors believe Andrew and Tristan Tate have multiple passports and identities to help them evade law enforcement, calling them a major flight risk. The two have been in the downtown Miami Federal Detention Center since July 19th. Several social media posts used by prosecutors point to self-proclaimed misogynist Andrew Tate boasting online in 2021 that he is untouchable, saying, quote, "I can be in another country under a different name with a penthouse and $300,000 if things go bad." And this one, posted the same year, says in part, "Court date? I absolutely do not care." UK authorities are seeking their extradition for 59 charges related to rape and human trafficking. The allegations taking place between 2010 and 2017. Prosecutors say Tristan Tate may have a Mexican passport under the name Vladimir Scorpius. A photo of it was included in the filing.
The tough part for the Tate brothers is that in 2026, old social media posts can come straight back into a legal battle. And Andrew Tate has an absolutely massive digital footprint. He spent roughly 15 to 20 years building an online profile, leaving behind countless posts, clips, and controversial comments. Now, prosecutors can point to specific public statements in their paperwork when they believe those statements support their arguments. They were reportedly linking directly to material from X and other platforms, putting Tate's own online words right at the center of the bail fight.
American citizens. They are American citizens entitled to the presumption of innocence. And this may make you uncomfortable, but the presumption of innocence means that you are innocent as a newborn baby, that you are as innocent as Jesus Christ, that you are as innocent as your mother, your father, your sister, your brother who sits home at your kitchen table and hasn't done anything. Imagine the government kicks in your door, takes out your grandma, takes out your brother, takes out your husband for a tweet, for an allegation, for some crime that some woman alleges that you did 10 years ago halfway across the world. And now you're sitting in the gulag, and now you're sitting in the cell with roaches, with rats, with drugs, with no sunlight, with guards who hate you, with the system who hates you, with the government who has betrayed you. And all you have is the people out here and your lawyers, and God is on your side. But guess what? Guess what? That's all you need when you're fighting against evil. That's all you need when you're fighting against Satan. That's all you need is when you're fighting against corruption. Because if you were to put yourself in a big dark room, in a big dark stadium, and turn it pitch black, one person lights a match, another person lights a match, another person shines a light, and all of a sudden, that darkness becomes bright. And in that brightness, the enemies of truth and the enemies of light, the cockroaches begin to flee.
Donald Trump's name has now been dragged into the conversation again. It's unclear what connections, if any, the Tate brothers currently have with Trump or people in his administration. But if they lose their legal fight and extradition is ordered, there's speculation they could make a last-minute attempt to appeal directly to Trump for help. Whether that would actually change anything is a completely different question. If Andrew Tate does get extradited, the way his lawyer has been talking about the UK, and with Tate himself publicly antagonizing authorities, could add even more tension around an already messy situation. That doesn't mean he'll automatically face some massive sentence. Any punishment would depend on the charges, evidence, and what a court ultimately decides.
And the reasons why they should be released will be so overwhelming, will be so compelling, that if the decision goes the other way, we're all going to have to ask questions about what's going on here. And if we lose, and if this judge says, look, despite the compelling arguments, despite what you presented in front of me today, I'm still going to rule against you, then we will go straight to President Trump's office. We will go straight to Marco Rubio, because Andrew and Tristan Tate or any other American citizen cannot get extradited without the Secretary of State's signature. And we will say to him, I understand we have a long and lasting relationship with the United Kingdom, but don't forget that that relationship started when we took their tea and threw it into the damn water. Don't forget that that relationship started when we launched a revolution.
But some of the public comments surrounding this case definitely aren't cooling things down. And then there's the situation inside prison. Tate is reportedly being held under highly restrictive conditions, so his relationship with prison staff could matter day to day. His lawyer was outside publicly criticizing guards and even insulting their appearance. Whether that affects Tate's treatment is impossible to know, and guards are still expected to follow proper rules and procedures. But if Tate could remain there for months, or potentially longer, the growing hostility certainly adds another layer of drama to an already heated legal battle. And if the Tate brothers are eventually extradited to the UK, that still wouldn't mean an automatic conviction or sentence. They would have to go through the UK legal process, where the allegations would be tested in court. Today, though, they were supposed to get an answer about bail, but the judge postponed the decision on whether the brothers should remain in custody, and that delay could be a huge deal. They're being held at the federal detention center in Miami, and their public posts have suggested they're unhappy with the conditions behind bars. According to the reported timeline, UK authorities have until around mid-September to provide supporting material for the extradition request. That means the brothers could potentially spend months in federal detention before the extradition proceedings are even resolved, and the bail question is still hanging over everything. That's exactly why the Tate brothers are pushing so hard for bail, and the defense motion lays out what they're facing. No date has reportedly been set yet for the actual extradition hearing, and they're being held in a special unit, reportedly for their own protection. But here's the interesting twist. It was Tate's own legal team that sought more time before the bail hearing so they could properly prepare.
The only ones who can see them.
Oh,
so
wow.
they're not allowed to see, they're not allowed to talk to their mother, they can't see their children, they can't
Wait, really?
see Oh, nobody. They're cut off from everybody. There's no access, there's no email, there's no phone calls.
Wait,
it's just us.
What is the legal premise to allow this to happen. That seems crazy to me.
They're using their celebrity as a justification to keep them in administrative segregation where you have no rights and no freedom and no daylight. It's the process is the punishment. They're using the process to hurt them in every conceivable way possible, because that's what they do. When your enemy is the governor, and the governor, has control, and you have enemies in government as well, they turn the screws to you to get you to tap out. I mean, that's what this is. This is unfortunately, it's not uncommon to people who are political prisoners. It's not uncommon to anybody who's an enemy of the government.
The government reportedly filed a massive dossier laying out its case, including the allegations and material it intends to rely on. The defense now has to go through that mountain of paperwork and prepare its response before making the strongest possible argument for bail. Rather than rushing into a hearing before they were ready, Tate's lawyers apparently decided they needed more time. His lawyer has also continued raising concerns about conditions inside the detention center, including claims that the brothers have faced restrictions on communicating with their family. When we eventually get to the bail hearing, I'd be pretty surprised if the Tate brothers actually get released at this point. The stakes are bigger than just two high-profile defendants, because this extradition fight could create political friction between the US and UK, two countries with a hugely important relationship. And despite all the speculation around Trump, he has never publicly backed Andrew Tate. The attention has mostly centered on reported associations involving people around Trump and his family.
Why would this administration, knowing how much Jeffrey Epstein is hurting them, why would they let Epstein 2.0 out of a cage? It's dumb. Why would Marco Rubio, who has the ultimate say here, and I know he's part of the administration, but why would he just destroy his political career by being the guy who let the Tate brothers go? And here's another thing. Remember, in Romania, the Tate brothers were there under arrest and then house arrest, and then they were allowed to leave. And no American official is acknowledging that they're the ones who approached the leaders of Romania to get them out. No one wants to take credit for it. Everyone's running away from it.
There's also been recent reporting questioning how the Trump administration is approaching the fight against human trafficking, particularly as the Tate case attracts more political attention. But this needs to be stated carefully. Tate has faced serious allegations, which he has denied, and allegations are not the same as a conviction. Any bail or extradition decision ultimately has to play out through the legal process, not through online speculation. There's also reporting about major changes affecting the State Department office responsible for monitoring and combating trafficking in persons, so this case is landing in an already politically sensitive environment. That makes any possible intervention involving Andrew Tate even more controversial. And Tate's lawyer raised a key point. If someone powerful does step forward to help him, critics could immediately start asking whether that same person had supported him before.
So, for example, I have 7 passports. I have 15 driver's licenses.
Their lawyer says they have no plans to evade the law and penned in a recent motion following their 2022 arrest in Romania, quote, "The brothers traveled to 9 other countries, and on every occasion they returned to Romania to check in with authorities because their release conditions required it. Since being arrested, someone is posting to social media on Andrew's behalf. A post from 2 days ago reads, Bugattis, money, federal prison, prosecutors after you, street notoriety, professional fights, children with endless women, etc. It's GTA 6. I live what everyone is waiting to play."
That could turn this from a courtroom battle into an even bigger diplomatic headache. Any US political figure openly pushing to help Tate could potentially find themselves challenging the positions of both Romania and the UK. With multiple governments involved, every political move around this case could face serious scrutiny. The big problem Andrew Tate has is that his own online footprint could come back to bite him hard. If you repeatedly brag online about having different identities or passports, while also making bold claims that authorities can't catch you or that you're beyond extradition in certain countries, prosecutors can point to those statements when arguing that you could be a flight risk. Whether those posts ultimately carry serious legal weight is for the court to decide, but from a bail perspective, Tate's own social media history could seriously damage his chances. A lot of people expected some huge news today. They thought Andrew Tate might appear, get a bail decision, and potentially walk out. Instead, the whole thing could end up being delayed again, maybe even more than once.
Free Top G! 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 Free Top G!
Free Top G! Yo, what's going on here? Free Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate protest. Free Top G! Free Top G!
Dude, that was a lot of scared of. I was so north. What are you talking about scared of? These other niggas fucking out.
There's a mountain of paperwork for both sides to deal with. And when multiple countries, different legal systems, and an extradition fight are all involved, things can get complicated very quickly. So just to fill you in before I end this video, as things stand, the Tate brothers remain in federal detention under highly restrictive conditions, and they could now be waiting around 2 weeks for the next hearing. That hearing could be crucial in deciding whether they're granted bail. If bail is denied, this extradition battle could potentially keep them behind bars for a much longer period while the legal process continues. And I'm saying it, right now on this channel, remember this, I'd be very surprised if they get bail. Politically, the situation is getting even more complicated, with serious allegations involving human trafficking surrounding Tate, which he has denied, and wider political scrutiny around trafficking issues. There could be pressure on the Trump administration to avoid appearing soft on the case. That doesn't mean Trump controls the outcome or that Tate is guilty. Those are matters for the courts. But right now, the political heat surrounding his extradition and continued detention looks intense. And that's where this whole situation stands right now. The Tate brothers remain behind bars, the bail fight is still hanging in the balance, and the extradition process could turn into a long and complicated legal battle. With prosecutors, defense lawyers, multiple countries, and growing political attention all involved, the next hearing could be a massive moment. But remember, these are still allegations, and the final outcome will depend on what actually happens in court. So now I want to hear what you think. Do you believe Andrew Tate will eventually get bail, or do you think the court will keep him detained while the extradition case moves forward? Drop your opinion in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with someone following this story, and comment below with your take. There could still be plenty more twists coming in this case, so stay tuned for the next update.